got you under my skin. I've got you deep in the heart of me. So deep.
Hey, welcome back to Piece of Chaos. Happy New Year, everybody. As I record this, it is New Year's Day, 2022. Interesting stuff, man. Interesting stuff this new year. Let's see. I gotta hope this year's better than last year in a lot of ways. Because, man, first of all, 2021 seemed like it was about 3 days long. I don't know about you, but it really flew. It was full of hope and promise. For a minute there, we thought the pandemic was over. Seems that is not the case any longer. It is far from over, but different. And my thoughts on it have evolved quite a bit, too. Got a lot of things I want to chat about real quick this week. So, obviously, no guests this week, but there will be guests in 2022. I have a couple already scheduled. So that's going to be cool. All right, so quick thoughts. Pandemic. Obviously, I'm not the first person to say this, but it has dawned on me and really kind of hit home for me lately that, you know, this is going to become endemic, which means it's just part of our life now. I told somebody the other day, I think it's so crazy that there's, you know, debate on this and all this talk about, you know, vaccine mandates and stuff like that. It's like, we've always had it. I mean, you guys remember when you were a little kid? My kids even have them, you know, because public school is so slow to change. There's like a yellow card, your vaccine card that they keep on file at school and at your doctor. It's more electronic now, but it's not the point. There's a card, there's a list of all the vaccines that your kid needs to have to attend the school. It is a mandate. Measles is on there, MMR is on there, polio is on there. And now COVID is going to be on there. So all these people that are protesting mandating vaccines, especially for kids, for diseases, this is not new. We're just adding to the list. If you looked at that card that you had, there's probably some blank spaces on there for write-ins. You know, well, I think from now on those cards are going to get printed with COVID-19 on the list, and you're going to have to get those vaccines to go to school. You're going to have to get those vaccines to do things. We don't have to mandate it in adults because we had it when we were kids. This is a new disease. Newly added to the card, therefore we have to treat it as such. And we're just too stupid as a human race to remember, I guess, how those things got started. We just kind of inherited them, and now there's this new one, and people are protesting as if they didn't even realize they already did this for so many other things. So I hope it doesn't cause people to have vaccine hesitancy across the full spectrum of vaccines and all of a sudden not getting vaccines for other things, and then we see measles and polio and all this stuff that we've pretty much gotten rid of come back because we're bad at communicating science. So that's the one thing. So it becomes endemic, right? And then I think where we go with the masks maybe is very similar to how, you know, some cultures, I know in particular, Japan did it with masks for years. I mean, I've been traveling for, you know, a long time around the world, and you would always see, it seemed to only really be Japanese folks, but maybe Chinese folks as well. Definitely Asian countries. You'd see them in the airport with masks on. And as an American, a stupid, ignorant American, you'd be like, you know, what's going on? Why are they doing that? Well, actually, it's a courtesy. The people that had masks on before COVID-19 were doing that as a courtesy because they had a cold. They had the sniffles or a sore throat. So they throw a mask on so that they don't infect other people. It was a kindness, a courtesy to others. It wasn't to protect them from germs in your country. Maybe for some people it was like that, but generally it was just a courtesy. And I think that's where we end up here with COVID-19. Maybe not this year. Maybe it's going to take longer than that for people to figure it out. But I think where we go is, you get your shot every year, like you get your flu shot every year. They'll dial in the dosage so you don't have to get 3 shots and a booster and all that stuff. That's the other thing people don't understand is when a drug or, a vaccine gets approved, they can only really approve, even if it's emergency use, they can only really approve it for what they studied, the protocol that they studied. So the protocol, the dosage, the regimen, they study that. That's the results they have. That's the only way they can do it until they do another randomized controlled trial to prove, hey, you know what? We can have the same effectiveness with, one dose at a larger dose or different timings. Maybe you do it every other year or something. I don't know. They'll figure all that out eventually. This is a brand new virus, brand new vaccine, and we're kind of stuck with what they studied, what they did the trial on in terms of the schedule and stuff. So some countries are playing with that schedule. I think it was England spread out their schedule a little bit, just like, hey, let's try to spread this out and see if it does better. So it'll take us a while to figure out that, but eventually you get your annual flu shot, you get your annual COVID shot. And if you get sick, if you get COVID and you've been vaccinated, hopefully it's mild, but as a courtesy, you put your mask on if you go out. It also can become socially acceptable that when you get a cold like COVID, you don't go to work. You stay home for 5 days. How great would it be if people actually got paid for that? I mean, I think that's the problem too, is some people have to go to work. They don't get sick time. If they don't go to work, they don't get paid. So they have to go to work. They go to work sick, not because they're rude or mean or trying to kill other people, but because they have no choice. So, we're stuck here. This is how it is. But imagine if you were 2 years ago, before this existed, if your job depended on you actually being present. Let's say something simple like being a waiter or a waitress. If you don't go to work, you don't get paid. So you have a little cold, maybe some sniffles, maybe a sore throat. You still go to work because you got to get paid. Well, what if you do that and you put a mask on? I don't know. COVID's a whole other beast, man. But a lot of it's because it's new and we don't know what's going on yet. I mean, if we were still washing down our groceries 2 years later and we'd learned absolutely nothing, then it'd be one thing. But we are learning. It just happens so slow. I mean, I think about when this thing first started. I remember being in line at Costco in March of 2020, towards the end of March. I think I posted on my Instagram too. It was just like this long line. It was so apocalyptic. Everybody was 6 feet apart, masks on. They were rationing toilet paper and paper towels. I was like, oh my God, hope we learn how to handle this better, or hope it goes away faster or something. It was crazy. We've learned a lot since then. Now, stores are back to kind of being stores. You throw on a mask, you go in, you do your shopping, except honestly, they're not back to being stores yet. The supply chain and what's in the stores is crazy, and the prices are crazy. Like that, I had just the biggest old man thoughts today when I went to the grocery store. I got what I normally get, and it was, shockingly more expensive. Shockingly more expensive. And I was like, what did you just say? I'm pretty routine in what you get at the grocery store, I think, as anybody is. You kind of get used to grabbing the same kind of stuff generally. And man, I was like, holy shit. Well, that can't last. And then I got to thinking, like, this is some next level chess madness going on here. What do they call that? 3D chess instead of checkers that's being played on us here. In a way, it's a little bit of an old man thought, but like, okay, so groceries are more expensive. Everything's more expensive. Why is that? Well, supply chain is interrupted, so they don't have the supply. So everything gets more expensive. Okay, supply, demand, I basically get that. But why is the supply limited? Well, because we're not local anymore. We have to have this stuff shipped, or it's sitting in a container offshore, or we outsourced it. It's like, oh, okay, well, why'd you do that? You did that so your product would be cheaper and you could reduce your overhead so you could make more money. So you had profits, right? I get it. So you get used to your profits being at a certain point, and then your supply chain's interrupted. And in order to keep the same profits or make more profits, the only thing you can do is raise the price. I get it. But wouldn't it have been cooler if we just all agreed, hey, we're having a pandemic here. It's killing a lot of people. I don't know what the numbers are now, but I think we're up over 800,000 people in the United States alone. And you know what? Our quarterly statements aren't going to look as good. Because instead of raising prices on everybody because we're in a pandemic and people can't work, we're going to keep the prices the same or lower the prices. How about that? Nah, we didn't do that. Fucking toilet paper is $26 for a pack, and the one that really blew me away, and I just really haven't been paying attention if it's been sneaking up and it just caught me by surprise, but like a 20-ounce bottle of soda is $2. I'm such an old man. I'm talking about the price of groceries. I'm sorry. Anyway, it just pissed me off. Like the general principle that, infinite growth of a company and a profit is just not sustainable anyway without cutting somewhere, first of all. And second of all, during a pandemic, do all those rules have to apply? I don't know. I guess the biggest lesson I'm focusing on right now, and one that's really got me annoyed in a lot of ways, and I realize it makes me annoyed more often than I'd like to admit, is a lesson I have to keep learning over and over and over and over again, and I keep having to remind myself, is that you cannot expect yourself from others. You cannot expect yourself from others. And that is so hard to grapple with because, if you're used to doing things, your way, a certain way, a way that is effective, is, kind, useful, efficient, whatever, you name it. Don't expect anybody else thinks the way you do, or will do what you did, or will do what you would do in the situation. Even thinking that is just a recipe for disaster because most of the time they're going to let you down without even knowing it. And then you carry around that you let me down attitude for no reason because they didn't know. that you were expecting that. They're just doing what they do. I don't know. I've kind of always had that, though. I remember when I was younger and I was working in retail, and I started to, I became like a manager, and I was like the second in command of the store, right? So in retail, I was the assistant manager, not the assistant to the assistant manager from the office, not like Dwight Schrute, but maybe kind of like Dwight Schrute. I don't know. I'm the assistant to the manager, and we had to open a new store, and it was a lot of work. It was really hard to go to open a new store from the ground up. Like, literally, the shelves on the wall are empty, and you have to stock the whole store and get everything ready. All this stuff. It's a lot of work, and it was hard work. And when it was over and we opened the store, I remember thinking like, and it was kind of one of those things where that's your last test before you have to do it yourself, before you become the manager and you get your own store. And I was like, well, I did it once, and man, if I did it as the manager and I had an assistant, boy, I could do this even more effectively, right? I know what I'll do next time. I know how I'll fix it. I know how I'll make it better. I'll take what I learned as the assistant and apply it to being the general manager and all that stuff. So when that finally happened, I remember that manager that I used to work for, as I was opening my own store, kind of, keep in touch, and he'd say, "Hey, how's it going?" And I remember saying to him, like, "Yeah, it's all right, but I feel like I don't have a me to hand off to, like you had to hand off to me to get shit done. I'm doing that same shit plus all the other stuff." And I don't know, that always stuck with me. It's like, I don't have a me to hand off to. Like, it's kind of a cross between, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself, and don't expect yourself from others. And maybe it's not, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. It's more like, if you want to get something done, you either have to expect that you need to allow others to help you in whatever way that is that they're going to help you, and take whatever you can get as a win, or you kind of have to do it yourself if you want everything to be the way you want it to be. And that's a lot of stress too. So it's been a weird start to the new year, man. I think I've told you guys I'm in the process of building, or I think I talked about it with one of the guests or something, but I'm in the process of building a studio. It'll be a podcast studio, music studio, and I'll be able to work from this space. And there's a lot of things about building something from scratch that I just don't know. I mean, I'm fairly handy. I have some tools. I can do some things. Mostly finish work. Mostly like, I don't know, just things that aren't the structure of a building. I've never built walls before. I've never, gone from studs to a finished room and done electrical work and all that kind of stuff. I'm learning now. But never done it before. So, I guess I could have YouTubed it or something. But instead, I got people to help me. And, help would be help would be free, I guess. I'm paying people to help me, which is different. And, I'm kind of held captive by their process. I can't learn it until they're there to show it to me. So the schedule is not mine to dictate in this instance, necessarily, and how things go. And what's going on in other people's lives. And I do give people a pretty generous rope when it comes to that. But I spent a lot of today thinking how I would have done it differently, from the way I communicated it to even just doing the project at all. And I'm only really a week or so in, but knowing what I know now about the process, I immediately applied my own expectations to, boy, if I knew how to do this, this is how I would do it. And I'd be finished by now. So I spent my first day of 2022 extremely frustrated, thinking about this lesson that I continue to have to learn over and over again, is do not expect yourself from others. And I guess just do your best and be kind. So, and there's probably a caveat there in that, you got to have some healthy boundaries, and people should be held accountable and should be accountable and all that, but don't get taken advantage of, but don't expect yourself from others. So that's my lesson for today, for this new year, heading into 2022. Another reminder to myself about trying to make it through this world and this life, and live well, and spend most of your time in a good mood. I think the rain really got to me, man. It rained here for, I don't know, a week straight. And it was really brutal. I don't like it. Some version of seasonal affective disorder. I don't know. I would not do well in wintry places and rainy places where it's wintry and rainy all the time. I just don't like it. I think rain, we needed it. It's so good to see California soak up the water and grow, and the mountains are going to be green again for a while, till they burn again. But it's beautiful, and everybody says, "Oh, well, we needed it." We did. We needed the rain. We were in a drought. We probably still are in a drought, even though we probably got a foot of rain. But doesn't mean I have to like it while it's happening. So maybe that has something to do with it. We'll see. But even just talking about this and thinking about it with you guys helps a lot. So I guess this is just like therapy without the therapist. Talking to myself, trying to make some sense of this, trying to give myself some peace. Hey, peace of chaos, right? All right. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you're having a great New Year yourself. Hope you celebrated. Hope you relaxed. And I hope for all of us that 2022 goes well. And we learn some things and grow and progress. And basically do better than we are right now. So, with that, happy holidays. Happy New Year. Thanks for listening. I really, really appreciate it. Take care. See you next week.
I said to myself, this affair ain't never gonna go too well. But why should I try to resist when, baby, I know too well that I've got you under my skin. I'd sacrifice anything come what might for the sake